Welcome to the Real Freedom Podcast, where we inspire you to pursue your passion to gain time and financial freedom through opportunities in real estate. I'm your host, Mike Swenson. Let's get some real freedom together. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Real Freedom Podcast, where we talk about building time and financial freedom through opportunities in real estate. And the exciting thing is, you don't have to be in real estate full-time to be successful. You certainly can. There's a lot of people that, it's their main passion, their main thing, and they're in it full-time, or they have a desire to get it into full-time. And today's guest is somebody who it's certainly provided a fantastic platform and allowed them to the opportunity to pursue some other things as well in their life. And so today we've got Zachary Daniel, and he's going to share with us all the crazy stuff he's done, and still a young guy and a lot ahead of him. But just a quick background. So grew up in Milwaukee, Midwest guy, and went to school for nuclear medicine. And since then, he's worked in crypto. You're an investment advisor. You actually have a fiction novel out, Manifest Destiny. We'll talk about that. It actually comes out today, the day that we're recording this. So if you're hearing this a couple weeks later, it's out now. And all of this is because of, in some degree, because of what you've been able to do with real estate and the partnerships that you've built. And so pursuing time and financial freedom through opportunities in real estate, that's where we're at. And so we will talk about that. So if you're somebody that has other areas of interest, other things that you want to pursue, and this is one solid spot for you to put your money to be able to create wealth, fantastic. And so that's what Zachary's done. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I appreciate you having me, and thank you for the intro.
Talk a little bit about your background, how you got into nuclear medicine, how you got to moving out of the Midwest, and then we'll touch on the real estate piece and where that's gone for you.
So yeah, like Mike said, I grew up in the Midwest, went to school for nuclear medicine, and I really liked it. I always wanted to be kind of in the healthcare field. My mom was a nurse. That kind of influenced me that way, and I just viewed it as I liked the job and it was very stable and interesting. So once I graduated school, I actually moved out to Oregon to start pursuing nuclear medicine. And, funny enough, opportunities arise where I had the chance to start my own investment practice, and I took it because investing in finance had always been my kind of passion and hobby. And the interesting thing about finance is, as long as you make money, you don't need a degree, right? You don't need a PhD or a master's or something if you can make money. And so that's kind of how I viewed it. And so nuclear medicine was something that I enjoyed, but was going to pursue the finance and with that real estate too. And hopefully the timetable got sped up compared to where I originally planned, but that's always great. So yeah, I moved out to the West Coast, and it's allowed me to do a bunch of different hobbies, like writing the book that's coming out, or kind of spending my time a little bit more where I want it. So no, it's been great, and I would highly recommend it to anyone.
Yeah. So for those folks that are curious, give us the brief overview. What does a degree in nuclear medicine mean? What is nuclear medicine?
Yeah, nuclear medicine is a imaging modality. You get MRI, you get CT. Think of it like that, except kind of a subspecialty. So where CT or MRI looks at body structure, bones, ligaments, tendons, nuclear medicine looks at body function. So how body systems are working, how your kidneys are working, how your heart's working. Probably our most popular scan is the PET scan, which is basically an injection of radioactive sugar and looking at hyperactive cells for tumor or cancer. And so yeah, that's basically nuclear medicine is injecting radiopharmaceuticals to to image people's body systems. It sounds kind of sci-fi, and it is in some ways. It's really interesting, but yeah, it's a very specialized field of imaging.
Yeah. So naturally, and this is where I want to highlight for people, there's so many people that spend time in real estate and are in real estate full time, and they're like, I never I just need to know a little bit more, or I don't have the right connections to get into real estate. And in a lot of ways, real estate's all about just taking the risk, finding some good people to partner with, which you've done that. But I want to highlight for people, like, this is your background is nuclear medicine. Like, you didn't get into real estate. You've thought about real estate. A lot of people have always kind of said too, like, I've wanted to get into real estate, but I just want to highlight for people, like, this is not anywhere close to anything related to real estate, and yet you're still able to pull that off. So talk a little bit about kind of the cryptocurrency piece, and how that has now rolled into the real estate investment. So let's get into that for a little bit. So yeah, how did that next step work for you?
Yeah, I've always been into Bitcoin and crypto. And obviously, I'm sure your audience has at least heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably like, well, how do you have any money to invest in real estate right now with how prices are? But I've been in it a long time. And basically, like you said, I don't have a real estate background, but I've always thought it's one of the best ways to build wealth and, preserve it long term. So I've always
Mm-hmm.
been interested in it. And when the opportunity presented itself that I had in, an excess amount of capital, I wanted to allocate some to real estate, Bitcoin and crypto being hyper volatile and hyper cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted something to, the next best. I think of crypto and real estate as my two ways to build long-term wealth. Crypto being volatile and highly appreciating at times, and real estate being more stable,
Mm-hmm.
reliable, and so yeah, I want to move some of my crypto gains into real estate. But the issue that I had was I was in Oregon, and the real estate out here just wasn't conducive to renting.
Mm-hmm.
The rental income was just not even going to cover the mortgage because real estate prices are so high out here. And I didn't want to go the route of betting on appreciation of the real estate as my kind of cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know, it just wasn't the way I wanted to do it. So I partnered up with one of my best buds back in Wisconsin, actually. And he was also thinking about the real estate, but he had recently graduated and he was kind of starting to build his wealth. So he's like, dude, I have time and I've, experience, like, he basically redid his own
Mm-hmm.
house, redid the basement, redid the upstairs bathroom. So he's like, I got time and willing to put in the work and I have capital. So we kind of teamed that up. And then the real estate market in Wisconsin is, much more favorable to rents and cash flow. So we teamed up there, and it's been an amazing partnership, and it's definitely allowed me to, brought some financial freedom to me and a springboard for, building that real estate practice out into something that hopefully he can do full time. And it can really,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the crypto piece and the real estate balance each other well, because like you said, crypto is volatile, and there were high gains. A lot of that has come down, and so you were smart enough to say, okay, how can I complement each other here and put it into something? Because for some people, they may not like real estate because it's not risky enough. Now you can get into there's certain elements within real estate that are much more risky, development and that sort of thing. But for some people, they might say, hey, I want to invest in businesses and companies because I do have a high risk tolerance. So here you took something that was risky and then you combine it with something that's more stable, and that helps to balance each other out.
yeah, it definitely did. And I'm very glad I did it because, looking back, I'm looking at when I sold compared to what if I would have just held on to it. And I am a, very staunch long-term believer in, like Bitcoin, but I still, recognize that it's not the only way to build wealth. And then certainly, looking back at this real estate, the foray into real estate has really done well for me as far as preserving my wealth that I had and building on it. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
for a lot of investors, like you said, the problem that we hear from people on the coasts is it's tricky to invest in, multifamily properties or single family properties because you don't get that cash flow. And as we talked about, beforehand, That's why a lot of people like to invest in the Midwest. Myself being a real estate agent, investing in Minnesota and helping investors on the West Coast primarily invest in Minnesota. Like that's what people enjoy, is I get that balance of cash flow and appreciation. Once again, safe, stable, balanced with, kind of volatile, works out well. So talk about, that kind of that first property. How did you guys, because you're working with a buddy, which some people say fantastic, them, you trust them. Some people will say it puts at risk, the friendship. And so talk about working with a partner. And what we talked about too ahead of time is, think about it like a triangle. So you've got, money on one side, you've got expertise on one side, and time on the other side. And so, if you're looking to get into real estate investment, you want to assess yourself at all three of those sides. What do I have in terms of time? What do I have in terms of money? And what do I have in terms of expertise? And you had money, you didn't have the time, and you're not boots on the ground. You've got somebody who has time, is boots on the ground. And so there's some piece there. So talk about, how that partnership kind of worked and how you were able to select those properties.
Yeah. It originally started, obviously we were good buddies and play video games together. And we were just both talking about how real estate, really could be, we both wanted to be in it, but we both had limitations. I had the geography limitation and the time limitation. He had the capital limitation. So we kind of put it together, and the expertise that he had, obviously we were both new to real estate. Mm-hmm. And I had expertise in starting businesses and LLC and dealing with the banks and the finance. And so that was where I lended some expertise. And then his expertise was he grew up in the area that we bought the real estate in his whole life. And he's always been a diligent and I would say compulsive at times. He really put in the time as far as researching, and he's always been, I would say, a stickler on quality. Mm-hmm. So even when we lived together, so we roomed together at college, even when we lived together at the houses, he would always point out things at the house that the landlord should be fixing. He's like, why isn't this painted? Why do we have to deal with a broken washing machine? Why is, this and that? And for the rest of us college kids, it was like, it's a college house, I don't care. Mm-hmm. But for him, he was already pointing out these things that I think has served us well in the expertise department. We're still learning the expertise. I think that angle's growing, but in the partnership, as far as, people say don't get in the business with people that, it can ruin friendships, it can ruin family. I think it's a risk, but you got to know yourself and you got to know the other person and trust each other. But also, at the very beginning, lay out what your expectations are for each person. So we talked to each other extensively about what we expect, and we laid out in a couple, side contract forms about, different things that we want, part of our enterprise. And I think it's been very smooth. We're both generally not argumentative people where we can talk about anything and not going to get caught up on, we're not going to get caught up on little things or let a little money stand between. Because I think that, it's possible that you just are so worried about everything being perfectly 50-50 and, getting your share. And I think that can sometimes stand in the way of you both winning long term. And so we're both very conscious of that, and we're both in it together. So it's been a wonderful partnership, and we played off that capital and expertise and time angle pretty well.
Yep. And we talk about in real estate, you want to work with people like and trust. That is the benefit of what you had. So if you didn't have your buddy to execute on your real estate dreams and goals, you then have to go find somebody else. And so what you do have is you have somebody that like and trust, and you've been around since the beginning. And so you have that foundation piece. And so that is the benefit versus working with somebody you haven't known for that long. all you know about them is what you've learned about them since you started your relationship, and you don't have those years playing video games together, hanging out together to cement the trust in the relationship. And so yeah, I agree. There's value there, of how you can build and grow that. And yeah, if not him, you'd have to go find somebody else. So might as well start with somebody that you've lived with, you've talked about that stuff together. Yeah, he has an attention for detail, which probably is very helpful for the tenants because they have somebody who's responsive to needs. And so there's a lot of benefits there. So
yeah, for sure. And yeah, you can see, someone that you've been with known for a long time, you can see them in a bunch of different scenarios. So stressful scenarios, scenarios with money. So you can kind of anticipate how they might react versus, you're going out and finding someone else. Yeah, they can present a certain image, but you don't know how they react in certain scenarios. So in that first house, so we started getting property in 2020, and the environment was perfect for it right then because the real estate interest rate levels were low, super low, and the real estate hadn't quite started taking off. And especially in the Midwest, a lot of these places, towns or not outside of huge cities like maybe Milwaukee or St. Paul, a lot of these places hadn't seen housing appreciation for a decade. So all of a sudden prices started creeping up, and long-term tenants or long-term landlords were just selling property. They're like, oh my gosh, my property appreciated by $10,000, $15,000. I'm selling everything. And so I would say there was like a period of like fire sale where there was super low interest rates and housing prices were just starting to creep up, but there was a flood of inventory. And that's kind of where we started to strike. And, but we were pretty picky. We've probably seen like 100 properties so far. And, now we're in kind of a limbo area, which we talked about before, just because interest rates are a little high right now and housing prices haven't come down to kind of match that balance. And it's still a pretty tight inventory. So we're kind of ready to pounce, but we're biding our time. And that's, real estate's a long-term game. So you got to have patience, because once you're in a property, it's tough to get out, and you put so much time and money and effort into it that, you don't want to make the wrong choice. So it's better to be overly cautious than try to jump before, at the wrong opportunity. But I guess in the same breath, you can kind of be too cautious where you just sit in the sidelines. You're like, I'll wait. I would say, you just kind of got to go for that first property, and just do it. But
yeah, I think, I've talked about this before, treating that first property as an education too, because you have to learn. You can't get to the 10th property unless you get to the first. And so there's going to be some things maybe you wish you have done different. There's going to be some things that you're like, oh, wow, that worked out really well. And so you learn those things through doing it. And so it's, kind of like a child. A child doesn't start off just running, right? They have to learn to walk first, and they're cautious, they're timid. Once they get their feet under them, it can happen fast and they start running. But it's that same way. So you wouldn't be sitting where you're at today, looking at your fourth property without having those other three. So you're going to have the expertise, you're going to have the knowledge that you've gained together. You're going to have the stabilized asset of, building it up, fixing it up, your working relationship together. So there's a lot of positives that have come out of your first few properties together that you're now going to be able to build and grow, and maybe be able to grow more quickly because of what you've done together already.
Yeah. I think that's completely true. It just keeps just keeps building. You keep learning, and we've already picked up so many things here and there that we've done right or have done wrong, and we're really hoping to grow it into a practice where my partner has redone his whole house and is good at fixing things up, and I think we would like to build the portfolio to where we have the stable income, but we're also have something on the side where we're fixing up houses more extensively and maybe flipping them on a short to medium term basis, along with kind of the stable multifamily housing. Yeah, no, it's exciting, but it's just building blocks.
Yep.
And I would definitely say, you probably talk about it a lot, that you don't need to be a real estate expert or go to school for real estate or think you're going to do it full time to kind of get into the foray. Um, Anyone can do it. You
Yep.
just have to have some time and commitment, and be willing to take some risks. So, but it's worth it. So
Yeah, there's a lot of great things that you've done. Being able to take the risk. Most people haven't done that. Being able to find a partner where you guys have assessed like what skills and abilities can each of you bring to the partnership, and to be able to have a little bit of time working together. So yeah, you're off to a fantastic start. And that being said, let's chat about this kind of moving forward here. That's now allowed you opportunity and to be able to pursue some other things. So share for a little bit here. You're an investment advisor and an author now. So talk about how that foundation in real estate, what you've been able to start to build and grow together, is going to provide you some freedom of time, some freedom with your finances as well, to pursue some other avenues. And so what has that done for you?
yeah, I think it's done great for me. We're putting most of what we earned in real estate back into the business, but it has given me a cushion, asset and cash flow wise, if I needed it. Because starting your own business it's daunting and it's risky, and you're not getting much income coming in. So I think real estate's allowed me to better pursue myself as an investment advisor, because I'm not going to be. It takes years to grow a business, a practice like that, and then it's also given me, becoming the investment advisor, starting my own business, has given me more time to pursue finishing my book, which has been a long process. But I hadn't really been able to fully dedicate to finishing it until I started on this extra path where I got more time. And maybe I wasn't so tired when I came home from work, from working the shift, because I was kind of able to space my resources out during the day. So it's definitely given me that freedom and time to finish the book, and it's been a huge passion of mine. I'm very proud of it. It's a mystery thriller, and if you're listening, go check it out. But yeah, it's definitely been an awesome experience, and I can't think of wanting to change it. So,
well, I'm excited for you. I love hearing stories how, the goal of this podcast is to be able to showcase different people in different areas of real estate and what they've done. And for many, yeah, it can be a full-time thing. And yet at the same time, I want people to see that it doesn't have to be a full-time thing. And when you leverage with great people, you've got the ability to build, make, and earn an income, and you want to pump some of that money back into real estate. Fantastic. And so the goal of this podcast is to show people of all different areas within real estate. And yeah, you get a chance to write a book and do something that you love. For those that can't see you on the video here, like, you're excited when you're talking about your book. Like, that's something that's fun, and you're able to do that because of, in part, what real estate has helped to do for you, and being able to pursue being an investment advisor. And you still got that nuclear medicine degree in your back pocket, should something change down the road too. So you've been able to do some really cool, fun things as a result of what you've been able to do in real estate as well.
Yeah, for sure. And, yeah, like you said, I have the nuclear medicine in my back pocket, but, and if things do fall back to that, then that's fine. And I'll probably end up pursuing real estate even harder then, So,
how can folks get a hold of you? So you've got your book. I want to mention again, Manifest Destiny, coming out, or is out now for those listening. But where else can people learn more about you and reach out to you?
Yeah. So if the book, out on Manifest Destiny, out on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all the major outlets. You can find it at my website, Zachary-Daniel.com. Or if you want to reach out to me, you can do it there. Also, my business is Digital Edge Wealth Management. So you can search that on Google or digitaledgewm.com. So that's otherwise, the typical socials, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. But yeah, that's where you find me. And, if you want to reach out and talk about real estate or ask, how how I manage dealing with a partner in the Midwest or investing, my book, and reach out. So,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Zachary, for coming on. Appreciate you sharing your story, and best of luck to you in the future.
yeah, thanks, Mike. I really appreciate it.